It is a very special day today. No, I am not referring to Halloween.
What?
I am referring to the fact that today I have the honor of being able to discuss the finale of Zeb Wells and John Romita Jr.'s landmark time on Amazing Spider-Man.
It's been a while since we've touched this, huh?
It
Uh,
has.
Yeah.
It has. Now we've got a couple of Halloweenies on board today. We've got Cale.
the Dapper Dog coming at ya. Watch out, Absolute Wonder Woman. I'm gonna get you with my mustard guns.
We've got Tyler.
I hope you don't mind if I eat a double chunk chocolate cookie on the stream while I do this podcast, if that's cool.
All
The
right.
best bit is that Sean has no idea what I am.
I don't either.
I literally don't.
Of
Yeah.
course.
Yeah.
Great.
And I'm Sean. Uh, and I'm just Sean. And
The
that's all I'm ever
spookiest
gonna
of us
be.
all.
Yes.
Whoa.
For me, it's Halloween every day. All right. And thank go ahead, Tyler.
I was going to say,
Make your
have some
joke.
self respect, Sean. Come on.
Oh, I have a lot of it. I
He
do.
he does. That's why he's not dressed up.
Got me there.
Thank you for being with us, whether you are live or in the future. If you're celebrating Halloween and you're wearing a costume or you're planning on going out tonight dressed, to the nines, uh, share it on Discord. Let's see you. Let's see what you got going on. We'd love to see your pictures. Otherwise, we've got
Count him.
five of this week's biggest releases. Admittedly, not the biggest week, but still some solid books out. As I mentioned, Amazing Spider-Man number 60.
That cover is dramatic with the way the black bar is like on the side, even though it's
Yeah.
like the
I
shadow
love
of a
it.
building. But like, it's like, oh, okay, hold on. Who's dead?
Nobody. Wolverine Revenge number 3, Red Band. Have to do it.
It's not
Uh
2025.
sorry?
It's not 2025, so you're allowed to. You're still in the
That's
clear.
right.
Yeah.
That's correct. Poison Ivy Swamp Thing, Feral Trees. Nice little Halloween treat from DC. Another Halloween treat, Batman The Long Halloween, The Last Halloween, number 2. And from our friends at Ghost Machine, we've got Devour number 1. This is the one-shot sort of anthology type issue. Not really an anthology, but just a one-shot from the Hyde Street universe. So lots of fun books to talk about, good stuff on the docket. And let's get right into it. Let's get right into it. Let's talk about Amazing Spider-Man number 60. I am so sad that today is the day, well, I guess technically yesterday, that this run is coming to an end, has come to an end. Zeb Wells, the writer, John Romita Jr., the penciler, Scott Hanna on the inks, Marcio Menez on the colors, Joe Caramagna on the letters. That's the creative team for the primary story. There are a handful of backups here as well. Zeb Wells kind of saying goodbye to various aspects and spaces of his time on Amazing Spider-Man. The more dramatic stuff, the like big finale stuff, actually happened in issue 59. That's where we got the big explosive fight between Spider-Man and Tombstone that I thought was excellent. There was some great stuff in that one. This is really just again a goodbye, a wrapping up of loose ends as it were. And I guess you could say a tease for what's to come, but I think the main story here is pretty straightforward and not exciting.
It felt a little somber, if that makes sense. Like it felt like Zeb was just saying, "All right, see, I gotta wrap it all up." I don't think it made for a bad comic, but it wasn't action packed, full of all this intrigue. It was kind of like the swan song for Zeb Wells on Spider Man in a way.
I really felt like the dramatic stuff ended at the end of the halfway through the issue, and they were like, oh wait, I have to show I have to show him in the Spider-Man suit. Crap. Throw Sandman in there. And then we get this moment with Aunt May. Um, I thought this was straight across the plate. Um, I thought it was good.
I thought that bit with Aunt May and pretty much Zeb Wells saying his thesis of who Spider-Man and Peter Parker are in that little bit with Sandman and Aunt May was great. It didn't really have anything to do with this run, but it was more of him putting his stamp on the character, saying this is who Peter Parker is to me. And I thought that was a smart move because you're right, Sean. The previous two issues, the tombstone of it all, were kind of wrapped up like 99% in the previous two issues, which I thought were kick ass. If anyone needs, I recommend checking out 58 and 59. They're really cool, just like Ramita doing some real cool Ramita stuff. This deals with the fallout of it, but I think that the part that jumped out to me was that Sandman Aunt May bit, and then one of the other backups we'll talk about.
Everything I said at the open, being true, I loved this issue. I thought this was great. I appreciate it as a cap to the series as a whole. Um, Definitely not an issue that is going to change anybody's mind about this run. No way, shape, or form. But man, I love the poignant stuff. I thought it really landed. Peter and his last conversation with Tombstone, and it's kind of like, hey, man, you don't really ever get to win because you're playing by the rules and we're not. And I
Yeah.
think that conversation juxtaposed with the conversation at the end that Peter has with Aunt May, where she's kind of like, well, when you run away to go do your thing, I know that you're helping people. And to me, it's like, yes, Spider-Man can't get the big win. He can't stop Tombstone because Tombstone has people in his pocket and he's willing to do things that Spider-Man will never be willing to do. But he is a good man and he's got a righteous, good cause. And Aunt May saying that in light of what Tombstone said really just wrapped it all together nicely, I thought.
I think the Tombstone bit was good too because he pretty much tells Peter like, "Hey, you may have lost legally, but you won." Because it made Tombstone realize his flaws and
Yeah.
who he is as a person. And like, yes, I know Niels Fredrickson in the chat says, "Can't believe Tombstone just got away with it." Yes, but also that's kind of real life. People get away with shit all the time legally. That there's just not enough stuff there, or they're just too powerful to actually have any repercussions for. But it's about the moral victory, and that's where Peter will always win, no matter what.
Yeah, and I also think, okay, so you see Tombstone get locked up, you see him go away, and then whenever someone decides they want to use him again, he's back on the streets again. Zeb Wells isn't hiding his hand. He's being on Front Street with the way that it works in comics, and I don't think that means that Spider-Man doesn't win at all. I just think it's not the win that he would like to get, and that's sort of Spider-Man comics, welcome to it.
Welcome to it,
Uh
Spider-Man.
Yeah, the conversation or the battle rather with Sandman definitely felt random, but within the context of the run, there has been a lot of Sandman. There was a lot of Sandman stuff earlier on where he's got these two sort of personalities and which one's really in control and seeing him, locked up
Okay.
in Ravencroft. So bringing him back was appropriate, but it was really just a reason for Spider-Man to suit up.
Yeah.
But again, as you guys said, adding Aunt May to it gave it some some weight.
What I also liked about this issue, he got to take like Zeb got to be with all the artists throughout the run, and kind of pick on little bits here and there. But I just love that bit of it, like seeing like McGinnis back too in this. Um, I thought that was like a good way of wrapping up somebody's run on a book. Because how many issues was it? What did he do? 60?
I'm pretty sure.
Wow.
I think he did more than 60.
Wow. Huh.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean that about sums up the main story. Which was it even it couldn't have been 20 pages.
I don't think so. No.
No. Yeah. I liked it. I had a lot of fun with it. Let's talk about the the backup stories. There are four by Zeb Wells, each teaming up with a different, artist, art team, and then a last one by Joe Kelly, the impending writer of Amazing Spider-Man. So, Doctor's Orders is the one that features Ed McGuinness and Mark Farmer, and that gives us Rec Rap, another appearance of Rec Rap.
Hell yes. I love Rec Rap. Rec Rap's a real fun addition to stuff. Will we ever see him again? I don't know.
I think it would be a great addition to Spider-Man canon if, similar to like Daredevil, how they have to get him out of a jam and then start their run, the next writer. I think Spider-Man writers should have to figure out what to do with Rec Rap before they can progress into their stuff.
The editor's note at the end of that issue is like, he's in your hands now, Joe. Like
That's what made me think of it.
Yeah.
The editor's note I got a kick out of. Sorry, Joe. Now you have to use him, and it's very tongue in cheek, and it's acknowledging that a lot of people didn't like Rec Rap. The only reason Rec Rap exists is because Ed McGuinness wanted to draw this. So that's it. We're probably not going to see this character often in the future, but to some people that will be a positive, and to others a negative. Nothing is forever in comics.
Especially at the big two. Yeah.
Sorry?
So especially at the big two. You got to get used to liking characters we'll never see again.
Until you do. Nothing's forever. The next one was with Todd Knock. Todd Knock, Rachel Rosenberg on the colors. And it's a cute little story about MJ, who is now Jackpot, having a mini team up with Spider-Man just before they're going on a double date with Spider-Man's new girlfriend, Shay, Peter's new girlfriend, Shay, and of course, Paul, everybody's favorite. So we get a nice last glimpse at Paul. And there's a tease that Chasm is lurking and stalking Peter.
This is weird, right?
I thought it was fun, to be honest. I kind of thought it was a fun new dynamic that, frankly, I don't think we've ever gotten.
Double date with on the opposite sides?
Well, just like actually seeing Peter and Mary Jane be like friends and equals.
In my head, I was thinking like, oh, it sucks being Shay. She's the only one that doesn't know about Spider-Man.
Yeah,
like
definitely.
Like she's at a disadvantage in this friend group now.
And that's gonna suck later on.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's the Parker luck of it all.
I like this story. I think, whether or not, I mean, you can't erase Paul. Paul is going to be a character that we will see in the future. And I like this story sort of saying like, hey, there's going to be more with these people. This is what it is, and MJ and Peter's relationship is charting a new path. There's nothing wrong. People always say they want new in comics. Well, this is new. Deal with it.
What did you think of that one beat right before they enter the restaurant where Peter and MJ are talking and there's like 2 panels of silence?
For me, it's just, it was a commitment to their, not their capital R relationship, but their lowercase r relationship. They're two people who have known each other for years and they are very close, for better or for worse.
I almost felt like it was a nod to the reader, like, don't worry, they'll be back together at one point. Like they
I guess, I mean,
each other.
In the context of what they're talking about, where she's saying, you came and saved me from that crazy other dimension. She was gone for a long time. And so in her mind, did you forget about me? Did you leave me behind? And he's saying, I will always come for you eventually, even though it took a long time. It could be a nod. I don't know. But, we all know that the internet is going to take that and run with it. They're not going to put MJ and Peter back together anytime soon. Next, we had a story called Bubs, Zeb Wells teaming with Paulo Rivera. and it's a very quick little 3-page story about Spider-Man and Wolverine always meeting up on Wolverine's birthday.
This was my favorite of the backups. Because it's really tying an end on Zeb's run, because the whole Wolverine, like, this started back during Big Time, or like whatever, or Brand New Day or whatever, when Zeb's initial run started with Bacalo, that led into the stuff that eventually became Paul and all that in this current run. There was about 2 issues way back when, where Wolverine and Spider-Man team up during a snowstorm for Wolverine's birthday, and it
Oh,
leads
yeah,
to
yeah, yeah.
this. So it was Zeb kind of like going back to where it all started, but in a much quieter thing. They finally get to do the thing they never did in that, and I thought it was great. And Paulo Rivera, I don't see his interiors enough anymore. He's mostly doing like painted commissions for charities that go on auction. Seeing interiors like this, I was like, man, I miss this guy's art. His Wolverine is just so good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was definitely my favorite of all the backups.
Yeah, his Wolverine was phenomenal. I would definitely like to see more of that. And even as Spider-Man, you don't get to see Spider-Man drawn in this kind of way. So this was a good one. This was a good one.
Yeah.
Then we had Patrick Gleason stepping in on the art, Edgar Delgado on the colors, Joe Caramagna's lettering all this. And then this is a really a meetup between Spider-Man and Chasm slash Ben Riley, and them having a conversation during which Ben is essentially telling Peter, I'm going to leave you alone. I'm not going to come after you anymore. You don't have to worry about me. Just lying to him and setting up a future encounter between these two.
This was my favorite. I love Chasm. I think Chasm is the most interesting bit of Ben Riley lore that's happened in a long time. I love the costume. I love that he's off doing his thing, and now he's a full-on villain. I think it's great.
I'm with you, Cal. Chasm's fantastic. I think I like that he didn't finish things up with Chasm. Like, it's not like Zeb Wells needed to like wrap that one up too. He left it open ended. I know there's a Chasm book right now. I think it's a miniseries. It's actually pretty damn good. Actually has him facing off against Druig from the Eternals, which is like a weird thing. But it's a lot of fun, and I like the character where he's Peter, but he's not Peter. He's Peter without all that responsibility, which leads to him kind of being a dick. And him and Hallows Eve, I thought it was great, and the costume design is one of my favorites in years. I love Chasm.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that wasn't just resolved. It's out there. That's someone else's toy to play with. And I like when writers get to do that. They're not precious about it.
Patrick Gleason did a great job with the art in this segment too, man. Wow.
I would love to see him on a extended Spider-Man
Yeah.
run.
I have his variant for this issue on the stream right now, which is just Spider-Man versus Green Goblin. It's fucking gorgeous.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I haven't cared much for Chasm, but this little bit made me interested. He's willing to lie. He's willing to, he's setting up something for the future. Like, okay, let's see what you got. Bring it on. And then the last one is it's Joe Kelly, stepping in, and we're kind of able to see a little bit of what his big plan is, and it's him with Mark Buckingham on art, Edgar Delgado on the colors. And it's Peter stopping some random crime, and Doctor Doom, deciding, okay, yeah, he's gonna be the one that I'm gonna, make have 8 deaths or whatever the hell. This was nothingness.
This felt like I pulled out an issue of a dollar bin that came out in like 2004, and I started reading it, and I was lost. I mean that derogatorily. Like I didn't care much for this at all. I thought it was overly wordy, and the jumping between Doom and Spider-Man, his internal kind of monologue, was like, all right, they're not even complimenting each other in that. Like, we'll talk about one where there's complimentary.
They're very much complimenting each other.
Oh, I didn't think
through
so.
The whole thing. Yeah.
I thought they were Oh, maybe I was checked out of it, to be honest. But yeah, I didn't care much for this at all. It felt
I
older.
I get that. I enjoyed the writing in this. I actually enjoyed the two different perspectives, Spider-Man and Doom's, and I thought they complemented each other very well. Um, because it's Doom saying there are, or whoever Doom is with, I guess. Because it does seem like there are two conversations happening in the Doom captions, or two characters speaking. But I felt like when they jump between each other, they do complement each other. It was the art that I really had a problem with in this. It felt very old. It felt like an older style compared to what everything else that's come in the book, which is wild given that John Romita Jr. was the main event here.
Honestly, you list every name in there, and they're all names of 15 years ago.
Odd knock,
But
yeah, that's a great
besides
point.
Gleason, maybe. Actually, no.
It's sort of weird that it's sort of weird that the least high profile, to my knowledge, artist that they have in this issue is the one who's working on the tease for the next series.
Yeah,
I mean, Mark
But
Buckingham is a huge artist, but he was a huge artist years ago. He was big.
yeah. It Fables, right?
Yeah. Like, but he also was big when Joe Kelly was last big. So this feels like kind of an anachronistic team for a book coming out in 2024, or really 2025, where the meat of it starts.
It doesn't. It's not, offensively bad, but it's almost like getting Ramita Senior to do a book now.
Is he alive?
I don't know. I don't keep track of the guy.
Okay.
I do think he passed a couple of years ago. So, it would hamper the assignment, but you know what I mean? Like, it's just like it looks like it's of a different era.
very much so.
It did not leave me excited for the Joe Kelly era. Which is weird because like that new Spider-Man Doom costume we got previewed months ago, it's in solicits. I think is McGinnis, right, or Gleason. Like some of the art team is continuing on with Joe Kelly's
Yeah.
run.
Yeah.
So yeah, Buckingham just felt like a strange choice because
Yeah.
it doesn't look like either
Ro-
of those guys.
Romita's carrying on. Romita will be back.
Yeah, yeah,
Zeb Wells is really the only person leaving.
yeah. But I think the costume itself was designed by McGinnis or Gleason. It's still art
I feel like
wise
it was
this
McGinnis.
team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is an easy pull for me. I really enjoyed the primary story, even if it was a little shorter, and a few of the backups were cute. Although the tease for the next era left me kind of cold, so we'll see. But I can easily green flag this through. And you know what? For everybody that it's gonna piss off, big applause to Zeb Wells, John Romita Jr., Ed McGuinness, and everybody involved in what was a spectacular run on Amazing Spider-Man. If you disagree with that, argue with yourself. I loved it. I thought it was fantastic. And I feel like Joe Kelly and co. have a lot to live up to.
I agree with you. I've enjoyed the run completely. I really liked it. There's some real cool Sinister Six stuff in it. Tombstone is a character for once. Yeah, I thought there's some really good stuff. So I am, you know what? I give this whole run, including this issue, a big boom. Man, you guys don't even know what I'm referencing.
I live in a different country. I don't know.
It's on the internet.
I might as well. I have no idea what you just did.
I
Stream
thought it was fun.
graphics.
I didn't read a ton of it, but none of it to me seemed like it was so bad. Like, I don't understand why people think it's so bad. I genuinely think it's decent comics, very, even if you don't like it, it's like passable for a Spider-Man comic. I don't
Yeah,
go here, but this is a pull for me.
yeah. Let's like Low High Pop is very offended by my enjoyment of Amazing Spider-Man. And they say Sean loves everything. Oh boy.
You were not right about
That's,
that.
that's what I see. Yeah, I said, you new here?
I wouldn't classify myself as a hater, but I definitely don't love everything. Here's a news flash. People can like things that you don't like. That does happen. Like, do you only know people who like everything that you like? It's not a mystery. It's a comic that was a number one selling comic. Clearly, people enjoy it, and the run has come to an end. If you don't like it, wait because there's a new run impending, or read an old one. I don't know.
There's a
It's
real
not
good
that.
JMS run way back when. It's called One More Day. Let's check that one out.
I answered you totally serious. Oh yeah, there is way. It's called One More Day. Do you know about it?
Zach G says, imagine someone having a different opinion than you, and you can't handle it. Like one people have different feelings than me. Shame on them. Yeah, exactly. It's comics. Like, who cares? I'll never understand Amazing Spider-Man fans. Oh, fans in
Stands.
quotations.
Stands.
Yeah,
Spider
yeah.
stands. Actually, that kind of has a good ring to it.
It's bizarre. Couchin and Slouchin with C Bizzle says, I agree. I had fun during the Zeb Wells run. Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah.
What do you guys think of MJ being jackpot and that kind of sticking now?
I got more of a problem with that than Paul. I like it. I don't love when, like supporting characters get powers. I'm just it feels like more of like a what like Silver Agey type of trope,
Hmm.
and one that I'm not the biggest fan of. But I get that that's comics, so it is what it is.
I've spent zero time with jackpot, so I don't even understand.
Not a gambler.
I don't have money. I don't have money to gamble.
Jakester, the Jakester, says, "Hey, fair enough to y'all for enjoying it. I gave it 20 issues and called it a day, but I'm glad some people at least dug it, and I can respect that."
Hold on. Measured response on YouTube? What are you doing? Jakester, stop bucking the trend over here, okay?
Yeah,
Look at you
Jakester,
with
you should comment more.
yeah. What are you doing with these normal takes? These
In the
reasonable
live
takes?
chat, get in the YouTube comments. You're on the front line. We need you in the trenches.
Yeah, I mean, I've never gotten up here and said anybody's wrong for not liking Amazing Spider-Man. I only get on here to say what I think. People who don't like it, hey, that's cool. That's valid. Who cares, really, more than anything? Um, Tilo says you should have Sal on to argue about ASM. Let me tell you something, Tilo. I love Sal, first of all. But if I was dumb enough to have Sal on to argue about Amazing Spider-Man, there's no chance in hell that I could be perceived to have won the argument because the man's audience is like, what, 10, 20, 30 times my size? There's no winning in that. When Comics Explained came on here to debate digital comics, his fan base was in our comments saying that we were clearly wrong. Well, you can't fight against that.
He's got shooters, you know?
Exactly. No way. Don Shada says it's garbage. Hmm. Are you sure about that? Who made you the authority to say what is garbage and what is not garbage?
One man's trash, another man's treasure.
There you go.
You ever
And here
find
we
comics
are.
in garbage? I found a couple.
I think I have. Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually most of my collections uh I actually found in the garbage at an old job. I worked at a bookstore and somebody came in with massive like an Invincible omnibus, two or three like new Avengers, like massive collections. And they were like, look, we got to throw these away, and started to physically put them in the garbage. And I went, nope.
See, even garbage comics are still good.
Listen, that's the moral of the story.
Don Shada says the attitude of who cares is the problem. We care and we pay, so we want good shit. Hey, I pay. Does my opinion not count because it's different than yours? I have bought every issue of this run, and I am telling you I liked it. If you don't like it, why does it bother you that I do? I don't understand. It's bizarre. We've got a bunch of other books to talk about. And before we get into all of that, I want to let you guys know, first of all, it would be fantastic if you like the video, if you enjoy what we do. Subscribe to the channel if you're not. If you're watching this right now and you haven't liked and you're not subscribed, do you know what that is? That is a double red flag, my friend. That is a double red flag. So make sure you guys do both of those things. Happy Halloween, by the way. Happy Halloween. Hopefully you guys are being safe, having some fun. I see people saying that they are trick or treating. Christian said that so Christian said taking Darth Vader trick or treating while I'm rocking the Court of Owls and checking in on the pals. Happy Halloween.
Dude, my neighborhood it gets packed on Halloween, and as I parked earlier, I saw a kid in a Doctor Doom costume. How cool is that?
Whoa. Sick.
That's awesome.
Right? Like Robert Downey Jr.'s Doctor Doom already.
Oh man, Don, this is the last time I'm going to respond to you because you're being weird. I made me the authority when spending my hard-earned money. I understand not everything is going to be out of the park. Okay, cool. So I said what I like, you said what you like, then just leave it there. Why? Like, it's fine. Like, you said you care, you want comics to be better, then maybe they'll be better for you next time around. Are you new here? Let's talk about Wolverine Revenge. Wolverine Revenge #3, written by Jonathan Hickman, with art by everybody's favorite, Greg Capullo. Inks by Tim Townsend, colors by FCO Placencia, the darling of comics at the moment, and letters by Corey Pettit. So quick catch up. Wolverine Revenge has been about, it takes place in an alternate timeline where Wolverine is trying to get some revenge on people that he blames for the state of the world, people who had a hand in, putting them in this post-apocalyptic reality that they now live in. And in this issue, he is going after Omega Red, Deadpool, and Colossus. So really culling the field with this one. And man, I gotta say, this was fantastic. Just real quick, when you look at these colors, right? When you look at this Wolverine and you see these just even on the first page, that bottom panel, that black right there, I hope whoever they find to replace FCO Placencia can do that, because FCO Placencia is one of the best colorists in comics. And that fact is all throughout this issue.
Amy can't hit those deadlines.
Yeah.
Now that you can't. That's 12 to 16 hours of work, I guess. Book looked good. I found it boring. I don't know what this. How many issues? 5 issues, right? 6 maybe that we're getting.
I thought it was 5.
Yeah. Either way,
Could be 6.
we're at 3, and the whole crew that we have our revenge on is gone already. Like, I don't know what this book is storyline wise. I think it rushed through a lot of the deaths here. Like, the Colossus bit, I think could have been much more emotional, and instead it's rushed through in 3 pages. I think it looks good, but I just found myself kind of like, fine in this. I thought the best bit was the Deadpool and Wolverine talking to each other, which is a sentence I never thought I'd say. But I thought the meat of the story was just like, even for like action scenes, they're not inventive. The deaths aren't different. Like, Wolverine stabbing a guy through the chin, that's done before. Choking a guy, that's done before. And like, even like the Omega Red kill, we don't even really see it. It's like all off screen. Maybe you do in the red band version, and I'm just not paying the right money for it. But
I wondered that myself. Yeah.
I just felt like it was like, oh, I feel like this could have been more exciting.
Yeah, I enjoyed it, but I'm kind of surprised that it's not the last issue. Like him going after Colossus and having to go through Omega Red and then Deadpool really felt like just wrapping it all up. Um, I kind of I guess I assumed each issue would be going after someone, you know. And obviously that's my preconception, and that doesn't say anything about the quality, but it with their relationship, I guess I would have thought that deserved more of a page count.
Like this is the fastball special couple, you know? Like they have,
Yeah.
yeah.
But I thought the Deadpool and Wolverine conversation was phenomenal. That was really good.
Yeah, I had an absolute blast with this. The fight between Omega Red and Wolverine was sick. I just like it when writers will put Wolverine through hell in these fights. Like they'll impale this guy, they'll do anything to Wolverine. And I like that he's a character that you can do those things with. You can't only put Spider-Man so much in mortal danger before it's like, all right, isn't he dead now? Whereas Wolverine, you can do
Yeah.
anything.
Sean, can you describe the Omega Red fight in the Red Band? Because the normal version, nothing really happens.
I mean, from my perspective, it's kind of hard to see what might be different. Wolverine hangs Omega Red. Do you
Yeah.
guys
Do you see it though?
No, you see his feet.
Okay, that's all we see. Yeah.
So what's the point of this red band?
That's something I was going to complain about, was that was the part where I thought, all right, I'm going to get my money's worth because they're going to show me him hanging and no one else, and that's not what happened. I
Yeah,
don't
like
know I don't know what was Red Band about this.
mm,
I
like
didn't
I'm
even.
not thrilled about seeing a hanged fellow, but like, if it's red band, like, come on.
It's Omega
I've
Red
seen
too.
worse than the
Yeah.
Pirates of the Caribbean movies.
Did you guys have Wolverine's arm getting ripped off by Colossus? Did you have
Yeah.
Yeah.
that?
Yeah.
Okay. And did you have a panel of Colossus lying on the ground, eviscerated with his guts all splayed out?
No.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, I didn't have that one. Or if I did, I don't remember it.
It's
Well,
like it's like the middle of their fight. It's the page before
Oh, he's got the
Colossus
silver
rips his
guts. He's
arms
got the
off.
silver guts.
Yeah.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
oh,
Yeah.
I'm talking about at the end of the fight when he's dead, when Colossus is dead.
Oh, sorry. Let me look. Oh no, I guess not.
Yeah. So
Well,
there is
that's
that.
really worth that extra buck, huh?
No, it's pretty gruesome. It's pretty gruesome, but not worth an extra dollar. I feel like I've seen this kind of level of brutality in comics that weren't labeled Red Band. But in any event, the Deadpool conversation. I do not care for Deadpool really at all. I'm not a fan of the character. The only time I thought he was written great for my taste was Rick Remender. I now have to include Jonathan Hickman in that because his Deadpool is an annoying. There's a level of reflection going on with this version of Deadpool. And you can see the little bits of his personality kind of poking through, but for the most part, it's very subdued. And I like the fact that he thought that Wolverine was going to leave him alive because they just had this sentimental conversation. And as the reader, you got to know, nah, this dude is going into that nuke. He's going into that reactor. And Wolverine just pushes him in and he just gruesomely dies.
Well, I think it's so it's so clever what Hickman does here because he gives Deadpool a minute to reflect on what he's done and then try to make the active choice that he's going to end it on his terms and he's going to go out for his own absolution. But Logan talks him down and then takes that from him. And it's like way better revenge.
Yeah. To not let him kill himself, to be the one who kills him. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And the one bit I liked about, because this is really the only part of the book, the issue that I liked, but that interaction is as they progressively talk, their skin is peeling, their masks are disintegrating.
Yeah.
There's a slow burn from the radioactive just heat of this power plant, which like I'd be curious about the science on that, but I like that build up.
Doesn't work like that.
Yeah, no.
But what are you gonna do?
If you have a healing factor, who's to say?
Well, just the idea that being that close to a reactor would make your skin boil off instantaneously. That's not. I watched Chernobyl, the HBO series. They said it was a lie.
Oh, my mistake.
Yeah. So on the whole, I really got a lot out of this. The Colossus Wolverine fight was pretty brutal and gruesome. I'm getting what I came here for. There's, the good, solid Hickman dialogue with some emotionality to it. There's the brutal fight scenes, illustrated beautifully by Capullo, Townsend, and Placencia. It's really solid. The only thing I'm mad about is that it was $5.99, and I feel like I didn't get my money's worth for the extra dollar. That is
Not worth the investigation, huh?
nah, no. I will say, easy pull for me.
I wasn't too hot on this. I thought the art was good. But I guess with this creative team, it's Hickman and Capullo. I'm judging them on a higher level than I would any other team. So I'm gonna pass on this one. I'm gonna give it a big doom. Do you guys hear the buzzer when I do that? At least you don't get anything.
Nope.
I heard a
something.
faint noise.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know if it comes through on the Zoom, but cool.
I agree with Tyler, but I also enjoyed it. I had a quick, well, not quick and cheap, but quick popcorn comics that, you know, it's fun to be violent sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Don't clip that.
Sometimes.
Atomic Hound says the only Deadpool I tolerate is Ryan Reynolds. Really?
You know what's funny? I heard all the Deadpool and Ryan Reynolds voice in this one. Hickman did a real good job catching that.
Man, I don't even like Deadpool in those movies.
We got Deadpool Wolverine coming out next year as a comic, right? Is it Ben Percy too?
Believe so.
Yeah. Man, Deadpool getting top billing on that. Wild.
Steve Matthews says, I agree with Tyler. I also found this very pedestrian. The fight scenes were dull compared to what we've seen before, and the nod red band was painfully redacted and looked bland. Ooh. Huh. Damn. Now I wish I had bought the regular version as well.
I mean, you only wouldn't have gotten one page, so.
Couchin and Slouchin with C Bizzle says, I'm getting Blade Red Band only because there is not a non-Red Band Blade book. Right. You can't even get that book non-Red Band, as far as I'm aware. Which is
that's
nuts.
Right. Lucas Holner said, I feel bad. My shop ran out of red bands and I asked if they had any left. They snagged one out of someone's pull list and sold me that shit. Bro.
Okay, good for you.
Somebody.
Good for you, but that's a shit move from that shop. I'm sorry. Unless like they know that guy never picks his shit up.
Yeah.
Like if it's just like a bad customer they're aware of, maybe. But that's Jesus.
That's grimy. Batman Begins says, would people dig it if it was just 22 pages of action?
Capullo action?
Man, I kind of feel like it is.
It is, but I feel like it's not inventive action. You know? It's like seeing a horror movie and the kills are just like, oh, everyone gets stabbed. Like,
Well, yeah, for me, what was inventive in this one was the Deadpool section. You know, I felt like, like I said, like Hickman really took that and twisted it. But the Omega Red and Colossus stuff, again, was, was very across the plate. So I feel like Maybe they wouldn't like just 22 pages of action, but I also trust Hickman to do more than just give action.
This feels like a book that exists for Greg Capullo's sake more than
Yeah,
anything.
that's probably why he's throwing a shit fit.
Uh, Damn, there was another comment I
Yeah, we
wanted to
never got
get
your take on
to.
that Cal. You weren't on the show on Saturday.
Oh, I'm just peppering it in there.
Okay, all right.
Silhouette says, I went back to Hoxpox a few days ago and read the first 3 to 4 issues. It's mind blowing how good it is. Yeah, dude, that's like, to me, it's required reading if you're an X-Men fan. It's definitely reached that level. Tom Account says, hit like and subscribe, folks. I couldn't agree with that anymore. All right, let's get into the next book. Let's hit DC up, see what they offered this Halloween. Poison Ivy, Swamp Thing, Feral Trees, written by G. Willow Wilson with art by Mike and Mike Perkins and Mike Spicer. I love this team up. It's always nice to
Yeah.
see them
It's
linked.
like a legit Poison Ivy Swamp Thing team up creatively too.
Yeah, yeah. Um, this was a long one. Essentially, Poison Ivy and oh, and by the way, Hassan Otsman Al Hal on the letters. Poison Ivy and Swamp Thing are both awakened, made aware that something is wrong within the green. And so they are being called to a specific place and they go to investigate. And that's where things really open up as they start to realize that neither one of them has the control over the green that they're used to having, and it's something almost maybe even stronger than them is wielding its will. And the story, as it progresses, we learn more about who that is doing this, or who the green might be protecting, and what their origin is. And we also get reintroduced to some, I presume, Swamp Thing characters, supporting characters that add, that pepper different things in throughout the book. Be great if Marco was here to talk about this. I was really looking forward to being able to ask him some questions about these characters. But what did you guys think about this book?
I loved it. I thought this was great. I had a lot of fun with this. Swamp Thing's a character where like I feel like I don't get enough of him in monthly comics. Like, he always shows up for certain things. He's a character that always shows up for specials like this, like the winter special that came out years ago with I think Tom King did that one. Um, and then kind of tying it into G. Willow Wilson's phenomenal Poison Ivy run in a way, where she's really dissecting who that character is and who she is as a person. Is she hero? Is she villain? Is she neither? And kind of doing a summation of that whole dilemma in one issue, and then using Swamp Thing to kind of be her way of talking to the plants and the voice of the plants to her that can actually talk back to her.
Hmm.
Um, I thought that was great. And then the Mike Perkins, Mike Spicer. I mean, we always say good things about those two. Like they just work great together. Spicer is my favorite colorist for Perkins, and I think it does some really great stuff here. I had a lot of fun with this.
This was my pick of the week. I really, really enjoyed this. We mentioned the colors, and I think I sort of forgot to look at them, or take them in. But even on these first 2 pages, um, the oranges that fade into blues on this, I think it's the third page, where the first we see the first victim is killed or whatever by the tree. Just awesome. Yeah. Oh man, doesn't even do it justice. Just great the way it fades all the way down the page. Just an offset of orange and blue that you like never see, but it looks good. I really thought G. Willow Wilson here was also really cooking. I like the dichotomy again here from Swamp Thing and Poison Ivy, and sort of coming at this case from two different sides. And I don't know if Marco would get mad at me for saying this, but this felt like the most Alan Moore Swamp Thing that I've ever read. Maybe more than Rom V.
With the way it pulls characters out, like those characters, like the Jack of Green, like those are from older Swamp Thing runs.
Well, and not even just that, but just the way it felt like there was like it felt like there was weight and there was history to absolutely everything. And then Poison Ivy uh was new to it. And she, it was really interesting to see her as like the junior character here. In it, taking that role that I can't imagine we've ever actually seen her in. Yeah, I think the ending sort of gets a little preachy, but I also sort of wondered if it was like it felt real to me in that way of like, I don't know who to blame. It's the billionaires. But also it sort of felt like maybe there should have been more pages and more story that she didn't necessarily have the room to do. Uh, but I mean, that's my only issue, really.
I actually like the ending. I thought that was, Poison Ivy is the character that typically fights corporations. And
No,
yeah.
absolutely. I guess I was just waiting for it to be a little bit deeper than,
Hmm.
oh, it's the billionaires, you know?
I really enjoyed the idea of action versus inaction that's in the story.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's really what it is. Poison Ivy is a woman of action. She will fight for what she believes in, and she's always been like that, either good or bad. And then Swamp Thing, who like throughout this is like, nah, just chill.
We'll
Let's
wait
just
it
wait.
out.
It'll fix
Yeah.
itself. And I liked that as just counter to what they are, and kind of playing with the idea of plants too. Like a tree can be there forever and never change, or a vine can just constantly keep growing like a weed. Just that idea of action versus inaction in plants exists, and I like that fighting contrast. And then the way that a lot of pages were split in half to kind of showcase that. Ivy on the left, Swamp Thing on the right. Man, this might be one of my favorite issues of the year, honestly.
Yeah, there was a lot to love about this. This was a really, really, really good one shot. Um, I wasn't expecting much from this, but I should have been because this is a great creative team. And Mike Perkins is, we've talked about this a handful of times before, but Mike Perkins is just on another level. Compare Mike Perkins of today to Mike Perkins of, 10 years ago, and it's just unreal what a level up this guy has achieved. And Mike Spicer, this is one of the best creative teams artist wise in comics, and they do such a brilliant job of the visual storytelling with this issue. There's so many awesome moments. um I gotta say, I really appreciated this issue, and I think G. Willow Wilson's script is very smart, and it's a great script, but I don't like Poison Ivy as good, and this issue is conflicted, I guess, with how good she is,
Mm.
but I see her as a bad person. I don't like the idea that she has a point because she kills people. And I wish the books would address that, and they don't ever seem to want to.
They made a nod to it in here in this issue. Swamp Thing references, like she has, killed people to get, on the side of the green in a way, but she's still in humanity's realm.
But
Mm.
but he's just saying, you kill people. Like it's kind of presenting her as like, oh, you kill people, but it's okay because you have a reason. And it's like, nah, I don't like that. It's always going to bother me about her character, but that has more to do with, heroes become or villains becoming heroes, which is not a thing I love. I think the juxtaposition of her righteous anger versus Swamp Thing's almost like, hey, this is just how it is. Like none of this is
Nat-
going to matter in a few years. Not even next season is this going to matter.
Which
Natural indifference.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which is I thought was funny too because like people were actively dying because of this. like
Yeah.
getting constantly killed, and he's just like, in the grand scheme of things, I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
And I liked how, like Swamp Thing, since the New 52, there is a bit of like an actiony aspect to Swamp Thing that exists. Or there has to be like he has to be almost this avatar of the green doing these grand acts of swampiness. In this, it's very classic Swamp Thing because like even the design of him, the way Perkins drew him in here is very different than the way he drew it in Ram V's run, where it's more classic, like the horror version, smoother.
Yeah. I was wondering which swamp thing this is.
It felt like Alec for sure.
That's what I thought.
And I think the way the text is, because that matters. The text is Alec as well.
Oh, okay.
The colors that they use in the text for that.
Yeah.
And I like how he's just introspective. He's not a man of action where he typically has to have been, in Snyder's run, in Rom's run, because it's an ongoing. There has to be plot and action driving the book. He's allowed to just be more, he's allowed to wax poetic a little more in this because Poison Ivy is that character. I thought it was great.
I highly recommend reading this comic book. I really, really do. Again, didn't have a lot of expectations, but I thought it was excellent. I really enjoyed the story of the young girl, too, who the Green is protecting. It's a story about how, nature and nurture both can fail a person, you know, and she falls into drugs and she ends up just dying, And Poison Ivy says at some point, I thought this was going to have a happy ending, something to that effect. And it just doesn't. And I like that as a reflection on the fact that things don't go the way we want them to go in life. Um, you know, the child isn't going to be saved and there's not going to be a happy ending and she's not going to become, well, I guess this could still happen, but, it's not necessarily the case that she's going to become some incredibly powerful superhero who's going to, take up the mantle against evil and stuff like that. No, she just died because that's life and it sucks. And Poison Ivy has to find a way to deal with that, the way that Swamp Thing has, which is to say life moves on.
Yeah.
Really great. Definitely an easy pull.
Pick of the week for me, Marco.
It's another pick of the week for me, so that means it's another boom. Wait, hold on. Where's my button? Oh, well, it's not working now.
Great.
All right. Wow.
Damn. I have more bits,
Awesome.
don't worry.
Figure Drawing wants to know if any of us like the Rom V Swamp Thing better than the Alan Moore run.
I haven't read the whole Alan Moore run. I've only read what we read for the show, and I thought that was phenomenal. Rom V's run was also tremendous, but I think it petered off just a little bit in the end. I still have to say Rom, but it's because I haven't read all of what Alan Moore did.
I can't answer that. I haven't read Moore's run in over a decade. I read it in 2011, and I don't think I appreciate it as much as I probably would now.
Oh, I say Alan Moore.
All right. That answers your question. Figure Drawing, hopefully. Carlos says the Costco pals. I wish I had a Costco near me. That'd be beautiful.
Carlos, thank you for recognizing the bit. Appreciate it.
I can't get a freaking membership.
You got Costco's
that was
over
a
there?
rough.
Huh?
You got Costco's where you are?
Yeah.
Steve Price says, I'm hoping we get a Swamp Thing and Animal Man book during All In. That would be awesome.
Would be awesome.
I do think the all-in lineup is missing some mystical stuff.
Feel like someone gave a hint somewhere along the line that there is going to be a Swamp Thing series. Do you guys remember that?
No.
No.
Great.
Heroic Age says Poison Ivy has the same problems now Venom did in the early 90s as a newly marketable hero. Yeah, I totally agree. We do have a good Poison Ivy book on the stands, which is awesome. But I just can't get around the idea of what she is. And I have had the same problems with Venom my whole life. I liked Agent Venom because that wasn't Eddie. It was Flash. And so that was totally cool. But Eddie as a good person when combined with the symbiote. I can't get with that. Uh, see, Couchin and Slouchin with C Bizzle says if you like G. Willow Wilson's writing, please check out The Hunger and the Dusk. Tremendous book. I co-sign that wholeheartedly.
I got that. I got that first trade for I think something like $1.99 on Comixology, and I have yet to read it. I'm pumped about it though.
It's right down your alley, Cale.
Damn.
Yeah.
Steve Matthews says, love the Comics Pals reviewing all the best DC books I can't afford to read. Hey, well, thank you for choosing us as your review crew, and I'm happy that we can do that. You don't have to read everything because we've got you covered on some of it.
Sometimes that's the reason you listen to these reviews. That's why I listened to the long box for as long as it was around.
I apologize.
Don't.
Let's get into the listener pick this week. You guys wanted us to read, overwhelmingly, you wanted us to read Batman, The Long Halloween, The Last Halloween, #2. We're gonna rap about this in just a moment and talk about our thoughts on the book. But what I want to do now is talk about the poll that we have up at the moment. So this week's poll is 3 DCs and a Marvel. We've got Birds of Prey #15 at a very low, a shockingly low 5% of the vote. I'm shocked at that. Action Comics #1074 at 18%. X-Men #7 at 21%. And overwhelmingly, like this isn't even close, Batgirl #1 with 56% of the vote. Oh my God.
That's one of the higher percentages I've seen for a book.
Yeah.
It's early, but
And man, given the other books like Batgirl aside, I'm very surprised at how low Birds of Prey is. Like y'all want us to read X-Men again?
I'm actually excited for Batgirl #1.
Yeah.
That's Tate Bromdell, I believe.
Yep.
Writing it. It's Cassandra Cain. I mean, we have a 50% chance that there's a Cassandra Cain comic that we'll read next week. So,
Cassandra Cain rules, dude.
I
It's gonna
agree.
be a good book.
I agree.
Make sure you guys vote at youtube.com/thecomicspals under the community tab. Let's get 500 votes. Let's do that. We can do that. I'm sure of it. If you can hear me, make sure you go out and vote. You should go out and vote for real, in the real world of politics or whatever. But you should also vote in the Comics Pals poll because that's the one that really matters, right?
Yeah, don't write in Birds of Prey as your actual presidential ballot as a write-in. Don't get them mixed up.
Then don't come here and write in Donald Trump in the comment section because that's not quite. You're mixing your things. It's not.
Yeah. Don't cross streams.
Or
All
Kamala
right.
Harris. I'm not. Don't. I'm not endorsing.
Let's talk about Batman, something that will offend hopefully no one. Written by Jeff Loeb with art by Klaus Janson, colors by Dave Stewart, letters by Richard Starkings, a very classic old school 80s 90s type of creative team here in 2024. You love to see it.
Oh, do you?
I do personally, yeah.
I loved it more than the creative team at the end of that Joe Kelly Spider-Man book.
Oh boy, I didn't.
I like this a lot.
Okay, go ahead.
Me too. So we know that Batman and Robin, I should say, are trying to solve the mystery of who has stolen Jim Gordon's child. So they're running through Arkham to try to look for clues, and they run into Calendar Man and Mad Hatter. Mad Hatter. Oh my goodness, I'm desperate for someone to do something with him.
You always pop for Jervis Tetch.
There's something there. I really
rules,
believe
dude.
it.
Yeah. He's like the ventriloquist. Like, how haven't we had anything good since the animated series? Like,
I don't fuck with ventriloquists. I'm sorry.
I'm just
All those toys in your house, you don't fuck with ventriloquists? Man, come on.
and yeah, the issue's a lot of that. There's a great penguin cameo, fantastic penguin cameo.
Yeah.
And yeah, it leaves us with more questions, and I think there's some solid plot progression. But Cale, you didn't like this one, so why don't you tap in?
I think for me, the thing is this art doesn't match the style of this book. It just like the overall, going all the way back to the Long Halloween and Dark Victory and Tim Sale's art through this series, the goal here was to pay tribute to his style and sort of, as I understand it, create the book in that style. And this uh Klaus Jansen's style here just it did not do that for me. I felt like things were too open. I didn't feel like the shadows were uh, oppressive enough. Things weren't couched in darkness, and you know, uh, our Batman never once had his cape wrapped around him. It just he looked old to me, and I really the design of Robin just looked. It looked like a design from like a first draft to me.
It looked like somebody had to pull together a quick Robin costume, and they used whatever they had in their
Yeah,
closet.
yeah,
Yeah,
like my costume. It just didn't to me like you know I appreciate what they've done in the past here, and I appreciate that they had a relationship with Tim Sale, and that they wanted to um pay tribute to him through this issue, but as an issue of the Long Halloween and continuing in that story and in that universe, this just did not do it for me.
see, I came about this with like I didn't expect anyone to be aping or trying to fit Tim Sale's art. I read this as like, oh, this is his friends and people who were influenced by him just doing their own thing in this universe. Because like, there's no way Becky Cloonan and Mateo Scalera are gonna look like Tim Sale. Um, so like, but honestly, I think Klaus Jansen's very close to Tim Sale. I think it's within that same era in a way. It's not Tim Sale. Nobody looks like Tim Sale.
What who the guy last month
Who was it last month
was
again?
I was it
Can't
Eduardo
recall.
Russo?
Oh, it was Riso. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like it wasn't 1-to-1, but you could see
It's
what he was
close.
working off of. And this just wasn't there.
Uh, I like the. I mean, I'm a Klaus Jansen fan.
Sure.
Daredevil stuff. It's great, and I liked the play on the formula of the Long Halloween because the Long Halloween has a formula. It's very episodic. It's
Yeah.
probably why I like it so much. And this is kind of shifting it, whereas the Long Halloween was really introducing these almost like a villain an issue, monster a week sort of thing. This is now villains every issue getting attacked. They're the ones getting killed off. Like Penguin gets shot here, Catwoman got shot in the previous one. So we're seeing kind of that flipped in a way. And there's still a mystery there because we don't know if it's actually the same holiday killer. I like that. I like the levity that Robin brings to it too, because once Robin's kind of being questioned about, like, oh, Robin man sounds stupid, and the next page is Batman going berserker mode against Jervis Tetch in his prison cell, with these awesome reds that really like make him look like he's having this huge freak out. I like the distinction between the two, and I think it works. So storyline wise, I'm actually enjoying this. It's not Long Halloween, and it never will be. But I think there's something classic about this storytelling that just feels good to me.
I had a lot of fun with this. I, you know, I really, really love the Long Halloween world, and I didn't need to go back to it necessarily. I'm not generally the person who needs to go back, but that's what they're doing. So, uh, thankfully, I find it to be quite good, and it's not tarnishing the legacy of the Long Halloween in my mind in any way. Um, I'm a big fan of Klaus Janson, man, and I will say this isn't like what I see in my mind when I think about his Batman, but at the same time, um, this isn't what I see in my mind when I think about the Long Halloween. So I'm trying to just accept what it is, and I had a lot of fun with what is. I really like the Penguin, the design of the Penguin, the way he's a little goofy. He's presented just a tad silly.
Dude, he hits the Tom and Jerry eating the fish whole and pulling out a skeleton bit. Like,
Yeah.
so stupid.
Like, what in the world? How? Why? But sure, you know. Um, it's fun, man. It's fun. And I'm curious about the mystery. Like, I actually want to know what's going on.
That Grundy, when it opens up with the Grundy like on the boat, just chained up. Like, oh, that's like when I think of Solomon Grundy, I think like that's Tim. That's like one of Tim Sale's images in my head that I think of. Like his Grundy is there. So like using that as like an homage to him in a way. Yeah, I'm digging it. I'm curious to see what the other artists do because I think Riso and more so Riso, but Riso and Jansen are in the same school as Tim Sale in a way. Maybe not, very literal, but like Scalera, Clunan. Who else do we have coming up in here? Some real crazy artists that are just wildly more modern.
Yeah.
I'm really interested to see how they play around in this sandbox.
This panel of Penguin getting shot is so funny to me for some reason.
I don't like his teeth, dude. He's got the little. Because
Oh
he
my goodness,
looks
I
like
love
he's in
it.
pain, but it's kind of funny looking.
Yeah. Oh man, that's good stuff.
Honestly, and I like the Jeff Loeb writing. Like, it just feels. I don't want to say it feels like home. That feels too dramatic. But like now that I know Jeff Loeb's coming back for Batman with Hush Tua, I'm kind of cool with it. I think he's still got it.
Yeah. Yeah. To deliver what you would expect from the name Jeff Loeb. Not to deliver what you would expect from, whoever else, but from what Jeff Loeb does, the kind of comic books that he makes. For me, this is in league with what I would anticipate, and I'm having fun. And from something called The Long Halloween today, right now, all I need is for it to be kind of fun, cool to look at, and have some mystery. And this has all those things. I'm enjoying it. And it's an easy pull for me.
Cale, is this a pull or a pass for
I
you?
think it's a pass for me for the art.
Hmm.
I'm still invested in the story, but man, the art it really just took me out of it from panel one.
Okay. Well, for me, it's a big. God damn it! The bit doesn't work.
What a fail.
I think it's a big boom for me too.
Whoa,
Oh, God
Tyler
damn it!
Jr. there.
There's a delayed response on that boom, and it scared the shit out of me. This bit is falling apart.
Wow.
Wasn't that just like a little bit of ventriloquism type
Oh
activity you
yeah.
just
Oh
did?
yeah,
Hey,
and I
great.
hate myself, Sean. Duh.
Well,
Your
yeah, but
bit's
you also did.
failing. You're doing something you don't even like. Like, what is
It's
tonight?
not working for me.
Halloween, baby.
I have more bits too planned. Ay, ay,
Tyler,
ay.
I'll tell you the truth. It's better that it's not working. It's funnier like that.
What the hell was that?
You know, just look up the Costco guys when you're doing. Here's your homework. Watch the Costco guys.
I'm not doing that.
They were on Jimmy
Neither am
Fallon
I.
the other night. Like this is like a big
I don't
thing.
get Jimmy Fallon.
You get the
That's
internet.
even more reason for me not to watch it.
Oh, Jimmy
Jimmy
Fallon
Fallon
sucks.
sucks.
Yeah.
Man.
I like David Letterman. Bring
Then
him
you don't
back.
watch late night then.
I
I
not
news for you.
anymore. Not anymore.
Seth Meyers
I
is the
haven't
only good one
watched.
in my opinion.
Yeah. Tilo says that's a French Connection reference, and Tilo actually put up a juxtaposition of the two images, one from the French Connection film and then one from the comic, and it is clearly an homage, and it's really cool. Thank you for sharing that, Tilo. Atomic Hound says Tyler just demonstrated what happens if you mix explosives and alcohol. Whoa.
Yeah, you gotta knock that off, Tyler.
Never.
Oh, okay.
Atomic Hound also says, does Sean's purchase of Absolute Batman #1 second printing count towards the stack? Well, you don't know that I bought a copy of Absolute Batman #1 second printing. But if I did, it would count towards the stack. Absolutely. Absolutely.
So factor that in, whatever that means to you.
Yes. Steve Price had asked, what's the creative on Batgirl? And it is Tate Bromble with art from Takeshi Miyazawa, colors from Mike Spicer. So I like Miyazawa. I'm a fan of Miyazawa.
And Tate's described it as a take of a Cassandra Cain kind of taking over the kung fu area of the DC universe.
Okay. That's cool. I've never read a Cassandra led book before.
She was hot pre 52.
Well, I mean, I'm looking forward to this, and clearly it's going to win the poll. Like I mean, rock the vote and all that, but this just feels like a landslide.
We can't say rock the vote anymore. That was Diddy's thing. No more. We're not touching that.
Why not? So everything Diddy touched, we can't touch. What about the Joker?
That is a
everyone
real
dressed up as Joker?
Real bad turn of phrase there.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Everything Diddy touched, we can't touch? Yes, actually.
Listen. Okay, so did he
You
touch
hear it,
Biggie?
right? Oh boy.
We can't listen to Biggie in it. We can't rock Biggie.
Can we choose a different word than touch?
What do you want me to say? These are the facts. It's true.
All right.
I don't want to touch the children. Is that? I mean, I was going to say.
Let's end this freak off. Next book.
Oh my God. You guys are always thinking so bugged out. Near says, happy Halloween, pals. Happy Halloween to you, Near. Are you dressing up? Are you sitting in your chair listening to us right now wearing a Cyclops costume? Because that would be cool.
What a specific question.
It's curious. I don't know.
I was expecting like a Celine Dion costume.
Why would Near? Why? Whoa!
Okay.
What do you know that I don't know?
Whenever I hear Near's name, I just hear Near Far Wherever You Are, and I think of Titanic and Celine Dion.
Yo, your brain is like galaxy brained.
Thank you.
I don't know how you make those type of connections in your mind.
I hear the song every time I see his comments.
Wow. What's up, Robert Cashaback? What's up, Luna? Good to see you, Luna. Luna saying wow. Hopefully that's a good thing. Hopefully that wow's a good wow. Tilo says, was Cassandra in No Man's Land? I wouldn't know.
Yes, she was. That was her. Hound says that was her debut, and I know she was new right around then. So,
Atomic Hound says, you'd like Cassie's book from the 2000s. Sean, pitch me the creative. Who was on it? That'll sell me. Near says, I'm going to be dressing up as Peely from Fortnite. I'd be Cyclops another time. Okay, so I wasn't that far out of the ballpark with Cyclops, right? Like, you would wear that?
Yo, which Peely? You gonna be Galaxy Peely? You gonna be Bony Peely? You gonna be Zombie Peely? You gonna be Lil Whip Peely?
What is Peely?
Man, I feel like I'm the youngest guy here, and I'm not. Well, no, I am.
You are.
Oop.
Oh my goodness. Oh, all right. Well, since Cale's tired, let's put him to bed.
Before we do, please put me to bed. Near also says that Celine Dion will also be another costume someday. So Tyler wasn't that far off too.
Well, share that picture with us when you get around to it. Devour. It happened on Hyde Street. Devour, coming from Ghost Machine by Maital Jut. This is our first time seeing any of her work, so in comic form. So we'll have some thoughts on that, of course. Leila Leyes, sorry if I said that incorrectly. On the art, Alex Sinclair. They went and grabbed Alex Sinclair for this one. And Rob Lee. So a very badass creative team. If you don't know what this book is about, essentially it's a one shot that takes place within the Hyde Street universe, and they have a series of these planned. From what we know about only two right now, but it doesn't seem like they're stopping at two. And each one will showcase a different story that takes place on Hyde Street that feels like a morality tale within the same realm as like a Black Mirror or a Twilight Zone or something like that. And this one is about a woman who really wants to fit into her dress for her wedding. Very relatable thing. You know, I know Tyler went through that. Cale went
Well,
through
don't
that.
trigger. Don't tell me about spooky stuff on Halloween, okay, Sean?
Oh, all right. Well, I thought that's what we were here to talk about. And it's about the way in which her family, her mother and grandmother specifically, are trying to get her to lose this weight, and how willing they are to help her get their weight down the way that they did. Um, what did you guys make of this issue?
Well, Mytel's the first person to write a full issue of a Ghost Machine book besides Jeff Johns, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that is
Oh,
accurate.
All right,
yeah,
we are
that's
in.
been released. Yeah.
Yeah, we're. I mean, I think that we had the Ghost Machine sampler, but that was
Yeah.
full issues. So cool. We're in Ghost Machine. Stage 2 finally. Um, I thought this was. I thought this was fine. I think it's cool as a one shot. I mean, I'm a fan of these types of books. I talk about liking Silver Coin. I like Ice Cream Man, which is funny because Jeff Johns is writing an issue of Ice Cream Man coming up. Um, but I like that the whole idea of these one and done stories that are these morality plays, and hearing Maital talk about this book at New York Comic Con, I think gave me a lot of context to it that helped me enjoy it more. I'm not sure I would have enjoyed it as much without that context. Just how this idea of weight loss and this perception that we have to be perceived in certain ways by society, and how it causes us to do things to our bodies that aren't healthy. How that's a personal struggle that she's dealt with. I enjoy that, and I can see that in this issue. I thought as like a morality story, it was fine. What the I'm not sure there was really a thesis by the end of it of what it wanted to tell me. Like, I can see it through the context of everything, but like it didn't. The way it ended, it felt like, all right, what's going on here? And I also question like, what is Hyde Street at this point? Because it's not on the street that is Hyde Street. Nobody really dies in it, and I thought that they had to take souls, but I guess they can take souls like devils can, where they have your soul for grabs without you dying. So there was a bit of like me trying to contextualize it in the bigger scheme of what Hyde Street is, but I thought it was a pretty good issue.
I was pretty disappointed in this actually. I can see what um pardon me, Maytel was trying to go for. I think, I didn't get the context that you guys did at New York Comic Con, but I think the weight loss struggle and thereby sort of obsession and epidemic of uh eating disorders, it's all there, and I see that. I kind of felt like the writing, especially in the captions and as uh our, I guess, second main character, the woman who's getting married, as she's going through her, her diary or whatever, leading up to her wedding, I found it repetitive and really just not engaging. I sort of found myself starting to skip stuff because I just like it wasn't hooking me, and it was just it it almost felt like it was too long, and they were trying to pack it.
I agree with you, Cale, and I can't believe I'm about to say this, but I think this might have benefited from a backup, uh, where like the main story could have been a little tighter, and they could have had a short morality story backup. Like these types of stories lend themselves well to like a quick one and done.
Yeah, I get the generational thing that she was trying to go for, by starting it with the grandmother and then seeing how it fed down into, so to speak, down into, the mother and then into the grandmother and now, the end. But uh it just like the I never felt pressure for the main character.
This was my pick of the week. I thought that this was tremendous. For me, I actually got a lot out of it, thinking about the way in which we pass on our trauma to our children. It's, maybe for you as a person, it's, you're not going to relate to the idea of diet culture because maybe you're a guy and your weight has never really mattered to anyone, or you've never had to worry about fitting into a dress or whatever. Obviously, I've never had that experience, but I know a lot about generational trauma and passing stuff on like that. And I think this was a story that tells that tale very well for any kind of person. If you keep it strictly to the letter of it, how many times has a person been told, "Oh my God, you eat like you have a parasite in you. Like you need to slow it down." I used to hear my sister told that, and she was a little bit of a bigger girl. And that's a problem that she still faces today, her weight, you know. Um, and there are a lot of women who deal with that struggle and that pressure. And so I was really feeling for our main character here, especially with the context of seeing what her grandmother was and what she was like. Um, the the panel that they show um where she's sort of telling her, where the grandmother's telling her daughter, hey, you shouldn't eat those cookies. And she's putting them back up on the shelf or whatever. And you can see that the grandmother is like eyeing them like, oh, I can't wait to devour these. As the daughter's like, ah, oh, damn, I wish I could have these. You know, just that pressure that our parents put on us to be what they want us to be, what they want, to be what they want, as opposed to being what we want. I just thought that was a story excellently told, um, especially within the context of diet culture and 80s diet culture, where it was all about like, oh, let's get fit, let's do these, these exercises that aren't really doing too much for you.
R.I.P. Richard Simmons, but yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. I got a lot out of this. I thought this was excellent.
I thought the bits. So Layla Lee is. I've seen her work before. I don't remember where. There was like a witch story she wrote. I think for Image or something like that. I remember liking it. She feels like a 2010s DC artist. Does that make sense? Like
Yes.
this felt like maybe it's the Alex Sinclair colors on it, which could very well be, but it felt very classic to like where these writers of Ghost Machine kind of come from, this era of DC, and it felt like that in the art too. I thought the art was pretty good. Those bits where the grandmother and the mother are devouring, pun intended, food at that dinner table were gross and vile, and I could almost smell it. I did not like it. Did not give me an appetite. I thought those were well played. I mean, so I think the art really kind of stood out for me here. I don't know where she will be doing more art for Ghost Machine, but we'll see.
Panels like this where Mom Dukes is just eating, gorging herself. It's just like, oh my God, that's crazy. And the art, the way that the mother and grandmother are drawn to where they're like creepily skinny, I thought that really played as well. Because they're not just skinny, they're like skin and bones. And it's because they've got a parasite that's eating them from the inside.
That kind of was like a thing that made me think. It's like, all right, the whole issue is about not demonizing body types, right? How do I pull off as an artist super skinny without demonizing people who might have eating disorders in the other direction? You know, that is not a tightrope I'd be willing to walk. I think in here it looks scary enough where it's like, all right, this is not, I'm not demonizing the ultra thin. Like there's clearly something wrong with these people. It looks like the Crypt Keeper, but there was a part of me that was like, all right, well, this is a tough thing to have to balance.
No, yeah, I wasn't crazy about the art either, to be honest. I kind of found the juxtaposition between, especially like when she is trying on the wedding dress. I guess maybe it's the third time when her grandmother is watching her. And you see those two together. Oh, right after the page you showed, Sean. Um,
Yeah.
that juxtaposition, just like I can see what they were going for, but it it was almost cartoonish to me. Um, in that, the our main character here looks, she almost looks intentionally too pudgy, which is like the point, but she also is supposed to look fairly normal. And then that juxtaposed with the grandmother there that looks, just impossibly stick thin, just I don't know, man, just the bones at times they were, clear through the shoulders, and it just overall it just didn't this just didn't do it for me.
And you know, Tyler mentioned like what is Hyde Street? How does it work? That's definitely a thought that I had while I was reading this because mostly because I get that the adult women, the older women rather, the mother and grandmother have sort of sold their souls. I get that. But the daughter is able to go to Hyde Street. They take her there. But I thought you could only go to Hyde Street if you did something to warrant you being on Hyde Street. So I guess maybe the idea is that you can be brought there, but how do these people access it at will if it's a place you're sort of supposed to stumble on? How do you just go there when you want to?
Yeah, then if the daughter's baby at the end is also a soul that gets taken, but like out of that baby's will, you know? So is it people who have done bad, like it's been pitched? Or have done something wrong, even as minuscule as possible? Like that baby did nothing. So there is a bit of logistics that I was annoyingly focusing on in this.
I guess for me, I think about it like the Twilight Zone. Shit just happens,
It's probably the smart
and
one.
that's Hyde Street. The whole thing is Hyde Street.
I really like the end because it shows you that even though, like this baby now is going to have a parasite in her, even though that baby is innocent, it never had a chance, and that's a reality. That is a reality behind generational trauma. There are people who just never had a chance. And it's sad, but it's like, damn, yeah, I guess so.
My one bit with the art though was when Pranky shows up, our good friend Pranky, and he has a box of cookies that are just donuts.
Oh my god.
I mean, I was hungry when I was reading it, which is
With
ironic.
worms.
They were full of worms.
I mean, here's the thing though.
You got the.
I love donuts. I might even just cast those aside. I might still eat those.
You saw the Mr. X-Ray cameo as well.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
shows up twice. Yep.
Yeah. Oh, twice.
When they go back to the Miss Goodbody shop, he's in the you can see him outside from inside.
Oh, I saw him the first time.
Yeah, for me, this is my pick of the week. I really, really enjoyed this. It made me think, it made me feel. And those are big criteria for me. So yeah, great job to Maitel for her first at bat. Hope to see more soon.
This is a pass from me. Wasn't a fan, and you know, admittedly, even reading the solicits at first, like I wasn't terribly interested in this. So I don't know if this ever really stood a chance. Sorry.
I'm not gonna review this. I'm gonna talk to the Rizzler. See what the Rizzler wants to rate this book. Rizzler, how did you like this book? I give this a big boo.
Great.
It worked this
I
time.
love
It worked
I love
this
that.
time. Yeah,
That's a
thank
cool
you,
shirt
Sean.
that guy has.
Oh yeah, it's a Spider-Man. Yeah.
Yeah.
You ever see that video of that little white kid dressed as Black Panther?
Nope.
Okay.
No.
That's that kid. Man, we are
What?
on different realities. We don't exist in the same plane of existence.
Oh my goodness. So was that a pull or a pass?
It's a boom, Sean.
I think
Come
that's
again?
I think that's a don't say that. That triggers him. I think that's a boom. A pass. No,
no,
a
no.
pull.
It's a pull. Doom is bad. You don't want a doom. You want a boom. I do have a doom graphic. I don't think I got to use it. Okay, yeah, that works too.
This is why I banned bits, ladies and gentlemen.
It's Halloween, baby.
Joe says, loved this issue. I say you can replace dieting to pain medication. When you're in pain, you can treat it the long, healthy way, or you can take the strong medication that can hurt you long term. Also, I loved the art. It felt creepy. It captured the vibe of Hyde Street, and the buildup was intense. We all knew something messed up was about to happen, but we were just waiting for the other shoe to drop.
Can I make one call out too about the art in Sinclair's colors? That bit that you showed, Sean, where the dinner and they're eating all that gross. Well, it's like normal food, but it's just drawn gross. How all the food is in like reds and warm colors, which just adds to like the carnal nature of it and the gross. It's almost like even though there's a cake on there and there's like spaghetti with like it almost seems like blood and guts. It's a good use of color where you don't see typically a lot of reds in this book. It's a lot of cool colors and blues and stuff. And then you counteract it by showing the reds at that dinner table. And I was like, oh, that almost looks like flesh in a way. It makes it scary. It's spooky. I thought that was a good choice there.
Steve Matthews says, this is why I stay up until 1 a.m. Tyler's weird shit.
Hey, if one person says they like it, then I feel good. Thank you, Steve.
What's wild is this isn't even the worst bit we've ever done.
I knew the bar was low.
Unreal. All right. So before we get out of here and let everybody go enjoy their Halloween, hopefully safely, we do have one last thing to do, which is, of course, Sean Stack. This is the segment we do because I buy a whole bunch of comics every week, and I need your help to lower the amount of books that I'm buying. I need you guys to judge me, essentially. And the game part of it is that you guys throw out a number of the amount of books you think I bought this week, and whoever is closest without going over can either claim a no prize or the code to any of the Marvel books that we read, to any of the Marvel books that I bought this week. While you guys throw your numbers out there, which I'm happy to see already pouring in, I do have to say, we got to get these prices of comics under control, man. Like, what are we doing? We got to get it under control. without saying the amount of books that I bought this week, when that lady rang me up. I said, "Wait, what did you say to me? What was that number?"
You're like a gator doing a double take. What?
I must have been. I said, "Huh? No way." And yeah, it was real. Couldn't believe it.
It's wild because I'm looking at the list here, and I don't think this is a big week for you, but like that, no, yeah.
But
But
that's how bad the prices
I
are.
guess so, yeah.
when you look at it, right? Let's just do the books that we've read for the show, right? So Amazing Spider-Man $7.99. Devour $5.99. Wolverine Revenge fuck me 99. $5.99.
Oh, that's
Uh
not even that bad.
it shouldn't be that. It's a standard page of a standard book. Well, red band. So fuck me, right? Poison Ivy Swamp Thing was $5.99, and the Long Halloween was $4.99. So not one standard price book in the whole bunch.
That was we made that Subway sandwich. It's like I'm looking at the other books and like we just happened to pick the ones that were expensive this week. I think.
Well, they're the
No,
ones that would have been popular, right?
Sure.
if
Like,
I had no show, these are books that I would have purchased. I didn't buy them because of the show, so that's just the price of comics. That's crazy. That's absolutely crazy. And when you see the amount, well, I won't even spoil the amount of books.
Mm.
Atomic House says it was that Omni, Sean. Dude, please. I wish. Spoiler alert for that. I tried to find DC versus Marvel, and they didn't have it at my house. Yes,
Hound showed me
not
his.
even one.
Hound got the right cover for his too. So.
yeah, you're not gonna find that at that place. No way.
Do you have a preference on cover, Sean, for that?
Yeah, I like the one Hound got. I don't
Yeah, I like the
remember
classic
who.
one.
Yeah,
I think it's
I
Perez.
don't know who the artist is. Perez. Yeah, that's the one I would have gone with for sure. Um, Joe says, "How do y'all filter out new books? I try to give new books 2 issues, but can't wait that long now."
We tend to, unless we just absolutely just hate it, and I mean loathe it, we tend to give things an arc for the show. I'm good for about 2, but a first one has to grab me. And I mean really grab me. Otherwise, I'm close to out after a first issue.
I'm similar. Don't I don't give books too much rope. I feel like I've read so many comics by this point that and they're so expensive now that if I'm not really loving it from the go, I shouldn't keep buying it. And that's something that I've learned through Pals Pulls and through this segment is like I don't owe the books anything. I don't owe the creators anything at the end of the day. I'm just me, trying to read what I enjoy. And I find that, if I don't enjoy an issue 1, the likelihood that I'm going to enjoy issue 2 ain't high because issue 1 is your shot to show me what you're cooking with. That's the whole point.
I do have a severe case of issue 1-itis though. I see that number 1, and I probably pick up that book, which is I'm a sucker.
Well, but it's also like that's fair. Like it's a number 1. That's the point.
Yeah.
But if you can't make me want to keep going, if you are so wrapped up in establishing your status quo that you can't get me to issue 2, then your status quo is too complicated.
Or just boring, whatever it is. Like, I feel like the first issue, you've got to knock it out of the park. And I know that it's hard to do, but it just must be done. It must be done. Your numbers are probably never going to be higher than the first issue of your run. That means that the most eyes that will ever be on your run are the first time they see you. You got to win them over.
Yeah.
It's the name of the game. Lucas Hallner says, "Pals, I'm late. Should I rewind? I never read DC, but your streams made me get all the absolutes, then mainline. I got Batman, Detective Comics, and Harley. Awesome. Awesome. I'm glad you picked those up.
Did you wind up checking out Harley, Sean?
No, I didn't.
Okay.
I didn't. Yeah, I should have. I saw it yesterday and I was like, whatever.
I want to know your take on
I
it.
thought he was literally. I thought he was gonna go. Man, I didn't. I didn't. I did. Yeah, I did.
Not this time. Heroic Age says, I don't know, man. Most iconic series never get interesting until issue 2 or 3 at least. How many classics would be canceled with a mid first issue?
I mean, if they're not interesting, maybe they don't deserve it.
Yeah, that's the rule for me. That's the rule for my life. However you govern your pull list is fantastic for you.
And I think us on the show, we talk about the art of a first issue too. I think we've read so many of them that we can tell pretty early on if we're going to like something to be able to filter it going forward in our pull list.
And I just simply don't want to give as much rope as I used to. I bought a lot of series, especially throughout the last year, trying to catch up to some stuff, being like, oh my God, I can't believe how many issues of this I bought. I hated the first one.
If you had just read that first issue, would have saved how much? Like $100?
Yeah, in some cases.
You like Monstrous, Sean?
Yeah, I actually love
actually
it.
very good
Or
book,
I did 10 years ago.
Sure.
Well, here in another 10 years, you can catch up. And Steve says he's the opposite. Getting him to even pick up a number 1 is tough. He suffers so much regret, but this month, he got Power of Fantasy 1 and 2 in the dollar bit. Bless.
Steve Matthews, that's the old school mentality. A lot of old school readers who were reading comics in the 70s and 60s and even the earlier 80s, that was the thought process was, whoa, this is a number 1. This hasn't been vetted yet. I'm not taking a chance on this. And it would take some issues for a person to say, okay, this has made it through 6, 7, 8, 9, however many, let me jump in. The comics landscape is just completely different now. I know that the first issue of this comic book is starting an arc. They're not pivoting. The story that starts in issue 1 will run through at least issue 6. So if I don't care about the premise, then I'm gone. I'm gone.
That's the point. Like, if you're not here for the premise, what are you doing here?
Steve follows up with, I'm just cheap and poor, not old school classy, but thanks.
Well, hey, I feel that.
Joe says, I follow my favorite books each month, but I do trade weight a lot to give the creators a second chance to get me. Well, that's cool. I think if you're that type of reader, though, digital makes a lot of sense for you.
Digital, Sean?
Man. Well,
global comics changed you.
I'm pro people reading comics in general. Digital just isn't for me. But I think if you're the type of person who wants to give books a chance down the road, then doing it through digital when they get released down the road, through a subscription like to Marvel or DC, that makes a ton of sense.
Steve Canaris with a very valid take. Comics change with advanced solicitations.
I think the writing to the trade is probably the most significant change in comics in the last, 20 years at least. Yeah. All right, let's get to the stack. Last call to get your numbers in before we run them down and then find out the final number.
I'm going to say 13. Unlucky number 13 on Halloween.
Ooh, on the spookiest day of the month. In this week 5, we've got a thin week in comics, and we have a sort of a small week in numbers this week, fellas. Near, never far away, says 16 for the stack. Robert Runback Cashback says week 5, and you can't forget Kaya, so I'm all in for 11. Got those double eggs there. Rami says 15. Steve Canair also says 15. Ooh, got in too late there, Steve. Hope it's not 15. Steve Matthews says 17, and so does Heroic Age 616. Luna says 12. Dark Dragon X7. I love X7. Says 14. Chris Game says 11. Simple J says 12. James Jones, perennial winner, says 13 for the stack. Hound is taking a big gamble for 9. And anyone coming in? No. We have Tyler with 13. I am going to go with 14.
All right. All right. So here we go. Let's get
Starting
into it.
with 5.
We've got the 5, yes, that we talked about. Red Coat number 7. Far and away my favorite issue of this book. Holy shit.
I downloaded it. I'm ready. Well, we get previews for that. So
I'm desperate to talk about what this issue is. It's so good.
Does it make you shift your ranking of Ghost Machine books?
No, because the previous issue still happened, and this is very much an issue that it's hard to talk about without talking about it, but it doesn't give me any belief that things are going to change dramatically. It's just a really great individual issue.
Change dramatically in terms of the story or in terms of like importance?
I guess the story.
Okay. So it's a phenomenal issue, but it's still very much in the same vein of Red Coat.
Yeah, and we'll see if things do change. But I think anyone who has had reservations about Red Coat should read issue 7.
And your interview with Brian Hitch, the artist, just dropped yesterday. So you guys should check that out on YouTube. Good interview.
That is true. Yes, thank you very much, Tyler. The Nice House by the Sea, number 4. I have not gotten to that.
We're on 4 of that already.
Sean, can you show that real quick?
Yeah.
Does it have the Vertigo? There it is. Vertigo's book, baby.
Already.
And the bullet.
Wow.
Yeah. Very cool. Action Comics 1073. Kaya number 22. I'm at a dilemma point with Kaya because I absolutely adore the series, but I was unable to acquire a copy of issue 20. So that means I cannot progress until I read issue 20. I must acquire it.
You know what's a good remedy for that so that you can keep going? Go ahead, say it with me. Digital. Yeah.
Oh no. As a former collector, I know that does not solve the equation. No.
No, it doesn't solve. It doesn't solve the collection issue, but it can solve. It can solve the fact that you can't read that book that you just spent $5.99 on.
There's a thing called MidtownComics.com. You can find the issue there. You'll be fine. Pick it up in store too.
I don't even have the price on this bad boy. Oh no, it's $3.99. Okay. Yeah, I got to get a copy of 20 in order to continue on. The Tin Can Society number 2. Number 1 is at the top of my to read list. So I'll be getting to that.
Hope you like it.
I hope so too. It's pretty well acclaimed. Yeah, I don't know what it's about though. And then Red Sonja number 15. Torrin Gronbeck has been killing it. I love this book. And that's it. That is my pull list this week.
Holy cow, that's 11.
Yeah.
Wow. Robert Runback Cashaback coming in for the full the touchdown.
It's funny, I counted 11 and in my head I'm like, I see 11 Sean would probably like. I didn't get Red Sonja. I got to mix up with something else. But I'm like, that seems too low. I got to go higher.
We got Robert Runback Cashaback for 11. We have Chris Game in for 11. And Hound assumed 9. It's wild.
Yeah, I mean it's week 5, and that definitely is a factor. Next week is crazy. Next week is nuts. Dude. The poll is as crazy as it is because the books we're going to be talking about are insane.
I was looking to see what we're going to talk about. We won't talk about here. We're not going to spoil it. But I'm like, what the hell can we even do to talk about? Like, there's so much.
It's nuts. Joe, with what he says is a fun question, and we can start to round things out. If you guys have any chit-chatty questions or whatever, feel free to throw them in. We've got a couple minutes. Joe says, "What is What does comics culture mean to you?"
Over broadly, I say a celebration of comic books in any form.
Mine is when a comedian makes homemade yogurt.
So not what you just did.
No, I hate yogurt. It's gross. You don't have to think about it
Yogurt,
too
you
strong.
culture
Yeah,
yogurt.
you don't have to think about it too long. Yeah, it's fine.
To answer the question, in my mind, comics culture is the conversation about comics and the environment in which we discuss and enjoy comics. I think, that has changed a bit over the years, but when I think about comics culture, I think about, an LCS. I think about, and I've never had this experience genuinely, but I think about the idea of showing up on Wednesday and, just talking about the books that came out that day and reading them with your friends and stuff like that. Um, I feel like everything else is, whatever, but that's what it is. That's what it means to me. And it can be this too. It can be this, what we do, the conversation.
It's funny. That's the same question I always come up with when I have interviews for jobs. What's the culture like here, and what does it mean to you? Kills.
Uh, Atomic Hound says that NYCC interviews are all excellent. Check them out so creators know they are reaching us as fans by doing them. Thank you for saying that, Atomic Hound. That is definitely true. And it's pivotal. It's a pivotal part is you guys checking them out.
Watched Marco's interview with Global Comics, and I feel like I've been gushing about it over the past couple of days, but he really with that interview sold me on Global Comics. No, what's that thing called?
Yeah.
Yeah, Global Comics. You got it.
Is it okay? That felt wrong. I don't
You
know
had a
why.
brain fart. It's fine. You got it. You're good.
But what really sold it to me was the Chris, I think the guy's name was. He really was focused on the comics as a community. He wasn't selling us on the app itself, and he wasn't selling us on the cool things that all the apps can do. He was selling us on, we want to bring comics to the forefront, and we want to create a place where comics can exist for everyone, and we want to cater to the reader, both in the way that you have stuff you like, and if you give us a chance, we can tell you stuff, more stuff you might like based on very specific, thorough criteria, and their focus is all over the world. To talk about comics culture, like it seems like Global Comics and their focus is a really comics cultured center of infrastructure, the way Comixology used to be, before Amazon got a hold of it. I assume. But I highly recommend that interview.
Steve Matthews says comics culture is always enjoyed best in person with friends, chats at my LCS. Online is typically awful, so I'm grateful for the pals. Makes the online culture a better place. Happy to do that.
We're all having a bad time here.
Well, I'm just really sweaty in this muscle suit, so I've had better times.
And that's why we're all having a bad time.
Lucas Holner says, did any of the pals read Null Hunters? Love that book, especially the art, but I wanted to know if it's connected to something. Null Hunters.
I've not heard of that. Is it Null like Null, or is it Null like is it just a Marvel Venom book that's on the Venom side of the Marvel universe that I am just ignoring?
I mean, they spelled it with a K, so I assume
Oh,
they're referring to
interesting.
the character.
Hmm.
Silhouette asks, what book is the pick of the month for y'all? Absolutely, absolute Batman for me.
Whoa. Well, no
Great
idea.
question, by the way.
What have we even read?
Man, that's a tough one. I think it's up there. Absolute Batman on any other given month, yes. But right now, it's a tie between Absolute Wonder Woman and this Feral Trees issue. I really enjoyed Feral Trees.
That's what I also want to say Feral Trees, but I don't know what I talked about last week, so pick of the week is as far as I can go.
Maybe we'll have to make that a segment, Silhouette. I appreciate that. That's a good question. I like that.
And
All
Marco
right.
keeps track of that, so
We're gonna get out of here. Thank you guys for hanging out with us. Make sure you tune in Saturday at 10:15 a.m. Eastern. That is the next time that we will be live with you. Marvel's in a spot. They're in a great spot financially, but they've had a year. They've had a weird year, and I want to talk about it. I want to talk about what's up with Marvel. What can we look forward to on the horizon for them? And sort of looking back at the year that Marvel has had. So come for that conversation. We'll be here Saturday at 10:15 a.m. Eastern. Make sure that you nominate a book. I forgot to say this earlier. It's my bad. Make sure that you nominate a book for next month's, which is tomorrow. Next month's theme here on the podcast will be Grant Morrison month. So nominate your favorite Grant Morrison book, the book you most want to hear us talk about. Get that nomination in on Discord. Get it in on Patreon. Get it in on YouTube. Wherever you can get it, we're going to tabulate those. I've already got the tabulations done for the books, for the noms we have. It's crazy. I'll talk more about that on Saturday.
One of them you're probably not happy about.
I'm pretty happy with the way this is structured
Okay,
out so
all right.
far. This is going very well. And yeah, we'll be back then. So thank you guys for tuning in. See you Saturday.